Hey everyone, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today's a big day. We're going to be painting Yellowstone National Park. This is one of the famous vistas that so many artists have painted before us, but we're going to do our own version today. I'm going to explain to you everything you need to know to be able to create this yourself. Every step, every color mix, every technique. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello, guys.
He's going to help me do that by tracking my cat-like movements. Sorry. Tracking my cat-like movements. Be serious now. Tracking my cat-like movements across the different robotic cameras we have. That way you can see the techniques, you can see the color mixes, you can see the tools that I'm using, the way that I'm getting the results I'm getting. Because what you can see, you have a much better chance of being able to duplicate at home. Now, this is part of our new series where Friday night we do an easier class that's more focused for really, really new beginners. And then on Saturday, we're still talking to beginners, but we're kicking up those skills a bit and showing you more techniques, more color mixes, and more things that you can do with your ever-expanding art goals. I am so excited for today because this is a painting that I have not done in my life before.
You've never done this one?
I've never done anything like this one. This isn't a topic that, as an artist, in all the years that I have been arting, which is my whole life, like, not even as a kid did I pick up crayons and say to myself, that canyon.
This canyon.
This canyon.
You mean this canyon?
This canyon, have I said to myself, I'm going to do me some big event landscapes. I haven't.
You know,
So
I've never
you
seen
guys
this.
are getting to see me do it first, as you may be doing your first.
I've never been here. I've never been to this place. Yellowstone?
What?
Yeah, I've never seen any of this cool stuff.
What?
Yeah, no. I mean,
We've been married 21 years. How's this not come up?
Well, remember the closest I came to when I bought the Astro and drove it back and saw the Grand Canyon for the first time.
You weren't close to it at all.
But I mean,
That's
yes.
not on the way home.
Yes, and that is
You could
the
have done maybe
closest-
Yosemite, and it's still a detour from where you were coming.
And that is the closest I have ever come to those places.
Okay, so that's something that I guess the Art Sherpa is going to Yellowstone. You want to come? We'll do a paint in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My husband hasn't been to Yellowstone.
I gotta go
Let
see
me
it.
just pivot from that reality for a second. How do you miss that? It's like the coolest thing ever. It's a volcano.
But if it helps, I went to a whole bunch of Boy Scout high adventure camps and like went
Nope.
down Whitewater
No,
Rapids.
remember how
and the
I said
Colorado
you got to stop and
River.
see the Grand Canyon? It seems like it's a hole in the ground, but it's more. And you were like, it's a hole in the ground. And then you called me up and you said it's more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like this.
I totally get that.
Okay.
All right.
All right. My
Couple steps aside.
my
Yeah, so
marital
we're
updates
teaching.
aside.
Yeah.
Let's paint this painting.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so here I have an 11 by 14 artboard. So instead of a stretch canvas, this is a firm artboard, and I use these not because they're preferable, but for two reasons. Sometimes they're more economical, and also because they store. I have literally thousands of paintings now, just stacked everywhere. So space saving has become a big issue for me, but you could paint this equally well on a stretch canvas. It wouldn't make this any harder. The colors that we're going to be theoretically using today, and it's early stages in the painting, but I put out zinc white, phthalo green, titanium white, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, fuchsia quinacridone. I got some Naples yellow. I have ultramarine blue. I have cad yellow. I realize I'm going to have to grab this because I don't have this here. I've got some yellow ochre, cad red, maybe some Indian yellow. And I'm going to use a gesso ground to begin with. So I'm going to use, just to so you guys can see this wonderful product do its thing, some gesso in the raw umber color. Holbein Acrylics makes 35 colors of gesso. So
Wow.
trust me, I'm being reserved. And of course, I have a little bit of the Mars Black set to the side. Guys, I don't necessarily expect to use every color in every video, but I like to have these around. These are the colors. This is the base palette that I would use for most landscapes. In fact, I wouldn't normally even pull Doc's Purple into it this early on unless I was working some very specific grays, which we don't have in this landscape. So I'm going to put these aside, and we will put them on the palette as we need them. I do expect to use fan brushes today. So that should be fun for those of us that are unfamiliar with fan brushes. And if you are unfamiliar with fan brushes, I did a big, giant explanation of the fan brush on my, I did a whole like hour-long video to just show you everything a fan brush can do. It's a lot more than people think. This is gloss glazing liquid. My recommendation with acrylic colors is, even if you don't use this every painting session, is to have a bottle of it around. Now, it says in the bottle it's a slow-drying extender for acrylic colors. And you know what the problem is with that, John? Is that doesn't tell people what it is.
Well, yeah, not unless you've read a whole bunch of art books.
All right. So with golden products, they're very technical. And what you always want to do is go to the back, because they'll tell you a lot more. They'll tell you it's 100% acrylic medium. That means this is a product meant to go into your acrylic paint that increases translucency and working time for blending and glazing acrylic paints. This is it, blending and glazing. And the other term is working time. These are magic words for you at home. If you haven't, I got my mom into this product. This is how awesome it is. I got my mom into it. If you hear the words working time, that means that your paint don't dry so fast. And blending also means that it improves the brushability and slows the working time of your paint, so you don't have to like paint so fast. And it glazes, which no other retarder does, which is why I recommend it. Can I what?
I was going to say, can I say, I really love Golden because they're so precise about their descriptions of the product. So
yes.
You can very much predictably understand what it's going to do. They try to take the guesswork out of the description, and they work really hard at that. And that's one of the things I really, really like about that company and how they describe product. You know what I mean?
I super know what you mean. But sometimes for a beginner, those descriptions, if you don't have context, seems mysterious.
And it can. Yeah, that's one of the things that's important, is that a lot of times having a sort of educational reference point for some of these descriptors is where that bridge point of, you want to do something, but you can't explain it with the words you're given.
Right. Right. But once you know what you're looking for, you know what you're looking for. You're looking for products that tell you they extend your working time. That just means it slows down how fast your paint dries. And you want it to be able to glaze, because that means you can add as little or as much paint to the product as you want without it breaking down.
Yeah.
Things that you don't know till you know. Now, I like to put wishes and intentions and ideas and things on my canvas.
Yes.
And so today is just singularly dedicated to this: love and protection of national parks. Now, I love my own national parks. You may, where you live, have different national parks. But I think as a species, as a people, as inhabitants and residents of the only known habitable planet in any foreseeable future, I really hope somebody else shows up. But right now, not looking so good. So since this is where we know we live, I think protecting these wild spaces and making sure that there's room for everybody, as Pete's Dragon would say, there's room for everyone in this world. Look at that beautiful buttery coverage.
Well, that's, no matter where you fall on your issue, is if you're out there trying to get your voice heard, that's helping, because everybody's voice needs to be heard. So just protect the things that you love.
Protect the things that you love. And remember, we're not alone on the planet. We share it with lots of other life forms.
That's right.
And they live here too. And sometimes our decision impacts their quality of life. And so protecting these habitats and these forests, they're important. One thing, I know many of us watch Tiger King, and we're totally obsessed with it. I certainly was.
Not yet.
John won't
I still
watch
have
it.
not seen The King.
He's not part of The King.
I am not
By the
part
way,
of the...
Just so you guys know, you could paint this yellow ochre. You could paint this burnt umber as well and get a very similar result. Yeah. Or if you had raw sienna, you could paint this with a raw sienna. So you don't have to have the product that I'm using to complete this project in any way, my friends.
I feel
in any way.
I feel like our chat diverged in a yellow painting.
Did it? In what way?
Just
it went some unexpected location.
I don't even know what we were talking about a minute ago.
I don't ever know what I'm talking about. You know what
King.
I do know?
That's what it was.
My low-tack tape is not tacky enough.
That's what it was. I've not seen Tiger King, and I've not been to Yosemite. Two things in life we can't believe.
You haven't been to Yosemite or Yellowstone.
Or Yellowstone, that's true.
It's just, I don't know what to do with you. Been to Moab?
I think through it-ish.
Well,
Like,
at least we took you to
on
the
the way to A to
Carlsbad
B.
Tavern.
That's true. I've been there a couple times. That's a good
You
tavern.
gotta take John places. Clearly, he's not getting around. Oh, by the way, there's a story behind today's mug. I can show you today's
Hello,
mug.
the mugs.
This is artwork from when, oh my gosh, from when I was in school.
School?
Yeah, think
Yeah,
about it.
that's
This
right.
was
It's
back
a
when
long
I was in
time ago.
college.
Yeah, college school.
So this was a large piece that I did.
Mm-hmm.
This mug actually is belongs to somebody else, and I have
Absconded
borrowed
with
it.
that mug. Someone else's mug.
It is the quest for somebody else's mug.
Yep.
Now I'm going to dry this so that
Okay.
I can kind of sketch on here with some charcoal and landscape. So what you want to do at home is you want to have a kind of soft gold brown color over the whole surface of your canvas. The reason that you want this, right? Because this seems arbitrary, right? The reason that you want this is because as we paint this landscape, this color is going to glow through all these rocks and all these surfaces, and we're not going to be showing little pops of white through here, and so it's going to look more finished and more resolved. I'm going to dry this. John's going to talk to you about
Stuff. I'm going to talk to you about the stuff, all the cool stuff, like where we keep information hidden in the links in the description down below. So if you were curious about like what products we were using in here, or where to find traceables, or brushes, or materials, science, links to our website, I don't know what else is down there. I think there's some gnome information. If you like gnomes, there's some more of that down there. There's information on how to get our text messaging, which is pretty cool. I don't think there's any information about color shift, which we might talk about next time we get a break like this, because I can think that that's something I just go on and on and on and talk about. But I think I'm going to need a little more time here. So we'll have to get to that next time. Next time she takes a break. And now, see, here's what she's going to do is she's going to take extra time to dry it this time. So that'll, yeah, see, and then it's going to mess with me. So I would totally have time to talk to you now. But she'll prove me wrong. Oh, thank you, Patty.
Hattie.
She gave us some bubble action. Dun, dun, dun.
Look,
thank you,
we're
Patty.
done. It's called Yellowstone in raw sienna. Brown canvas, $1.5 million.
It's Yellowstone. Yellowstone at dusk.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to do that. If I was doing a concept piece like that, I'd at least make it big. I'd still do the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe put like a dot in the middle of it. Yellowstone. Modern painting.
Huh. I think you totally get away with it.
I probably would in this day and age.
You know.
I probably would.
It's just
I'm going to use a T-square. And this is just a nice measuring tool that gives me straight lines and lets me measure a canvas. The canvas is 14 inches across, and I'm going to make a mark at the halfway point, and then I'm going to come down 2 inches, and this is going to be the top of my fall. I'm going to bring a little ridge down. Right. This is going to bring a little ridge down, and I'm going to go ahead and bring another little ridge down. Now, our river kind of actually makes a little curve here. I'm going to sketch that back. Curvy rivers. Going on. Also, from the center and about 8 inches down. About 8 inches. Just a little bit above it is where I've got my other little peak of river and canyon and stuff afoot. Now, I love this fall because it did some really cool stuff. But to showcase that, I'm going to come up here also about the 2-inch mark. And I'm going to make a very bumpy little ridge. And it's bumpy because there's trees and there's things. And I'm just sketching this in. I'm just reminding myself. I'll be much more specific and regimented about it when I sketch it in another time, you know. But this way, I have something going on here. Now, this ridge is interesting because it comes really almost, if I were to look at this, it's probably almost at the 3-inch mark coming down, and it's going to come down really to past here. Comes all the way down. See how it do? And then we've got a nice little bit over here that's lower. It also makes a nice little travel down. And between these two, we have a little river. Peeks out here. Now, I also see kind of a snowy ridge. Did you guys notice the snowy ridge?
Mm-hmm.
It comes down almost to here. And it's like a lot of snow. It's not a small amount of snow, which I really loved about this. I know in summer that must seem a little strange. Bring a little, we know there's some misty hills that we kind of, maybe they're a little bit here. That's pretty great. And I might speak about some areas of the ridge that I'm going to take down here. The fall really comes almost to the side over here. And there's a lot of mist. And then this side of it is straight down. And then we'll have lots of mist here. So that is the basic layout of the design. Now, if this kind of work is hard for you, like if it's really hard for you to find anchor points and do this work where you're like, man, I see it, but it's hard for me to do it. I do provide a traceable, and it is not cheating.
There are so many good questions.
Oh my gosh, I'm putting out paint. So while I'm putting it out, why don't we answer questions?
Okay. So, from the top Sherpa omnibus, how many cups of paint do you generally keep around?
Cups of water or cups of paint?
Cups of paint.
3.
Cups of water. 3.
3.
Generally 3.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Your easel. What kind of easel is that?
This is the Santa Fe version of a upright easel by the Best Company, which does Richardson still own them?
I don't know.
This is a Best easel. The edition is called Santa Fe.
Yeah, and the designer and builder of Best Easels, his long history of building
He actually has spun off a new, very exciting company where they make easels that are art.
Yeah.
They're inlaid with wood, and they have wood handles that turn, and they are really special. I think we kind of featured some of that. I hope we did.
I think we did a little bit. Yeah, we showed it at the NAMTA video way a billion D years ago.
Billion D years ago. Billion D is the technical term for sure.
But
put out a little ultramarine.
So yeah,
just in case I need the other blue.
They like the shelf that you had there. You'll have to tell us what all those colors are before you.
I'm going to. Is there any more omnibus colors while I'm putting these out?
There are no more omnibus colors, but there are omnibus questions that I've missed.
Okay, omnibus questions. You get the omnibus questions while I'm still putting out colors.
Is this like the Yosemite waterfall you did?
Okay, so last night we did a beginner's version of a Yosemite waterfall. So this is a one hoot. This is really simplified. We're going to use some of these techniques, though, today to get our more realistic version of a landscape. So I try to teach across 2 skill levels
and
to 3 skill levels in the beginner space.
I'm going to totally try at the name, so you'll have to forgive me.
I'm
Abaduram?
fine. Huh?
Abduhuram?
Okay.
Abduhuram? Maybe? Malik? So, the question, how do you keep your acrylic paint and canvas wet to blend?
Okay. Couple things. I have a mister, which is behind my, see if I can, nope. And off it went. There we go. So this is a micro mister.
Oh, we're going.
And I mist the paints.
Show it to me again.
Micro misters.
Micro mister. And that's...
This is a stylus sprayer. StylusSprayers.com has these. And I kind of mist my peel palette just to keep the paint from drying out. And then also I use this product, Gloss Glazing Liquid, which will slow down the drying time and improve blendability of the paint. Pretty good stuff. That painting falling to the floor is not good. I may put this to the side of me since you guys have pictures and pictures.
They're loving
and I
the
can really
necklace.
see what I can do.
Loving your necklace.
All right.
Now, You
low
generally don't
text.
try to save your paint over multiple days, do you?
No, if I was trying to save my paint over multiple days or was trying to save money in that way, I would get a stay wet palette.
Mm, okay.
And I would, and I have, if you have no stay wet palette money, if you search my channel for stay wet palette, you'll see a free trick I use that will keep paint a day or two. If you, especially if you missed it,
Yep.
and then you put the lid on, and it involves eating cake.
Cake. Cake is the cake is
And you
not a lie.
get to see my kids, which is a rare thing because I don't really share my kids a lot.
Mm-mm.
I don't. I'm going to start out with a brush that's referred to as a bright.
Why is that?
This gives me nice edge. I can work back and forth, and I can start to put in some of my major structure, the major elements of my painting. I'm going to start with a bright. Let me put out some yellow ochre. I have a tube of yellow ochre, but I don't know where it is. So, big pouch of yellow ochre is what we're using. This paint, even though it's student paint, is quality enough that I can work it with my professional paints. Let's look at this nice big landscaping
That is
palette.
a lot of paint.
It is a lot of paint. And you could use less colors. I like to have options, and I may still even get into my Naples. We'll see how as we go, because I've got this raw sienna. So this is a raw sienna. Oh, no, raw umber. This is raw umber. This is phthalo green. This is bird sienna, phthalo blue, cad red medium, cad yellow medium, ultramarine blue, Indian yellow, zinc white, titanium white, Mars black, and yellow ochre. Yellow oxide is also a similar color. And I want all these colors because I want to be able to capture the unreal mineral deposit of this canyon. So that's why I picked so many. So it's like, and also I wanted to be able to have a lot of different greens in my space. Sometimes I'm going to have to hold this because the paper is so glossy. It can be a little bit of a thing. I'm going to take my phthalo blue and my phthalo green and a little of my zinc. And I'm going to start to paint some of the space back here. I go back and forth, talking about the font, the front of this, the beginning of that river, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I might as well, while I'm at it, begin to speak about some of what's happening here coming down the waterfall. I am using my brush on both the wide, which is to put out big applications of paint, and on the edge, which is to control direction of paint. And when I mix phthalo green and phthalo blue, what I get is phthalo turquoise. And that is also going to help me get these ice effects and get this sense of cold. I'm personally excited to have this painting today. And hey guys, I'm sorry the show started a little later than expected. I'm still sometimes having some clock setting issues with the YouTube dashboard. So sometimes it's a thing. You can always trust whatever it says is what we'll do. So you can trust that if it says it, we're doing it as long as we can get there. I'm going to go ahead and just start to paint this big structure that we have. When I'm doing the water, I'm going to do back and forth strokes. And the reason for that, take a little bit of that there, and then we'll come here, is that water tends to be horizontal when it's flowing downstream or doing any of those water things. So if I'm trying to make it feel like what it is, I can use strokes to help imply that. You know, since we're being serious about all this biz.
Since we are being serious.
You know, we're being pretty serious. And that's a nice beginning. I am very excited about this river.
This river?
Mm-hmm.
This very river?
Whole bit of water.
Yeah.
I am very excited. I'm going to come with, I've used a little zinc to lighten up the color and reveal it. And I'm going to play with those wiggly little strokes coming down the river.
Making the water.
Making that water is the fun part of my day. And the reason the zinc or tinting white, any of those transparent whites are so nice is they let you change the value, how light or dark something is. I'm going to add a little Indian yellow here without particularly changing the hue.
Now, are these the Yosemite Falls?
Yes, they are. No, this is Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Okay. Yesterday was Yosemite.
Yeah, yesterday was Yosemite.
Gotcha.
Don't throw me off, man.
Sorry. I just want to make sure that
I believe this is the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone or something. These falls actually have a name. The other ones are Yosemite Falls. Pulling this down, as you can see, just creating that space. Now, if I get my white into this,
Oops.
as one can, and I'm going to focus these lighter values over here where the snow side is, wiggling back and forth, showing wonderful little bits of interesting. Maybe here even talking about the churning of the water as it comes through. Get into the coming here. Such pretty colors coming down. You can always come back into, for pops of color, if look, when you get into your ultramarine blue, it will pop against the phthalo and give elements of cool water in among these little turquoise ripples. And it's fun to have that.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up here and I'm going to just at the edge of the fall. And then maybe even the edge here. Right there with that blue on that side. Back into my turquoise color. And a little ripple in the back. And then we can start to think about what's happening in our falls. So the paint is still wet here. And the motion's going to be kind of a wiggling back. I'm trying to show this choppy downward fall expression of water just cascading down. I'll come across the top and pull it down. Right here, maybe a little bit straighter. We can just see those falls happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whole best fun part. Man, up and down. And I can't tell you, it is exciting to me to paint this. It is.
Mm-hmm.
I very much like it. Very, very much. Now, I love some of this back. The back area is really interesting because it's got a little of the kind of ultramarine and brown. And I'm going to come up here in this distant space, start to imply far, far away mountains and scapes. And then we'll start to put some landscape that's coming down here. across the back. That color is muted, it's distant, it's out of focus, as we would want it. I'm going to get a little of my brown and green together. Burnt sienna and phthalo green make a nice deep foresty green, and it's a good basis if you're going to have like so many trees. Far off distance. Right now, we're just kind of thinking about little zones. We can even do some upward and downward kind of vertical green motions. These are distant, far away trees. And then I'm going to take a little of my raw umber and my yellow ochre and some of my white. Makes a kind of very neat little mountain color. Just brush that down as a starting place. We can bring this into the mountain. I know I'm going to bring to the fore of it. Just kind of push it back. Really fun color. For me, this is almost an abstract for me. Almost.
I can see that.
I'm going to wipe off and grab a little bit of my white kind of into here and some of my ultramarine blue. I'm going to give this hill some personality you would want it to have. I like to paint things that are far back and then move them forward on a landscape. Go ahead and grab a little of my black. Bring a little bit there. Pull that forward, deepening that space. And get into my white. And it's okay if it picks up a bit of my turquoise there. What I do want it to be is on the edge of my brush. I'm going to start to add a little bit of the snowbank that is along that water's edge. Just playing with those distant spaces. Grab a little of my ultramarine.
Oh, Karen. She just said she's loving her Sherpa time. Sent a big emoji and a happy face palette. We'll have to do some bubble rest next time.
I'm at a bubble rest. I need to sip my coffee. You take a bubble rest because this has to dry a second before I can put in trees anyways.
I'm at a coffee place.
Oh, look at this. This is going to be so pretty when it's done. It's going to be one of those pieces that, so wonderful thing about landscapes is that when you do them well, people that in your life maybe don't relate to the rest of the art you're doing will generally be able to resonate with the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be, for many of you, the first time that you get that artist validation from those surrounding you, because there's this common language that they already speak, because most people speak landscape. They may not speak abstract. They may not speak pop art. They may not speak outsider art.
Mm-hmm.
They may not speak paint pouring, but they speak landscape. So then they'll start to feel confident to have a conversation with you, the artist, and it is a lovely experience.
Yeah. Really is.
Thank you so much for the support. How are you guys liking this coming in?
This is turning out really nice. It's already just
Yeah, it's going to be just one of those pretty happy ones. I'm sure it's going to get kidnapped, framed, and put up somewhere.
Mm.
Oh, it's looking good. Another sip, I think.
Another
in
sip.
my
Just
pilfered
one more.
cup.
That's okay. You know, I was curious which was what was the river that fed the Yellowstone?
Did you
And
find it?
It is. It's Yellowstone River.
Okay. Well, there you
And
go.
what was interesting is I didn't know what fed Yosemite either, and it's a creek.
That's a creek?
That's what I said.
Dude.
Yeah, Yosemite Creek.
That's a serious creek. That's a crick.
That's right. It's a crick.
I got a crick down at the edge of the property.
And
when you go down there, it's like trout are swimming in it. You're like, I don't know. It's like a river to me, but oh no, bear just went fishing. I guess it's a creek. I don't. You know, I guess everything is about scale, right? You get into Alaska, whole different scale.
Mm-hmm.
Whole different scale. You think you're on a mountain, and they're like, no, sweetie, that's a hill. It's a hill. Over there, that sheer cliff face that disappears in the clouds, that's the mountain. That's the mountain. You just can't see the top of it because it's in the cloud. You're on a hill. It's a steep hill, but not for nothing, it's a hill. Just saying. Just saying. Now we have some wonderful green here, and we have some really nice expression of it. And I'm actually going to play maybe with my micro mini about making some soft little tree things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow into my phthalo green. I'm going to see if this little brush here is going to give me sort of up and down little trees that I want. I don't have any bristle brushes that would work for this, and I want this very stippled up and down. You could use the edge of a bright. Like I said, we're going to explore fans a little bit. This, if you're just like, what is that adorable, tiny, amazing, cute fan brush? This is a Silver Ultra Mini Fan 2404S 20/0. And you can find them online in all kinds of places. And you can always go to the Silver Brush website and use their store finder to locate my brushes, their brushes, any brushes.
Mm-hmm.
Now on the tops of these trees, I want to add a little bit of little distant yellow, right? These distant little trees. Little dancing yellow. Oh, the yellow. Dancing yellow. Do, 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 do. The trick is you don't want a solid mass of anything. You want layers of trees, right? You want them to just come out of the background and be something special. When people go, oh, what's that? It's my tree. Too bright. Distant trees would not be bright. They might be here. They surely will be here, but they won't be bright. I'm going to rock the edge of my brush. I'm still using kind of upward and downward little motions, and I'll come here and add a few little bits of treescape here. Peeking behind this, be a bunch of little trees too. Let's give that tree space there. Peeking out. Now we're going to paint our canyon over that for sure. But it's nice to have them peeking out in the landscape. Get some Indian yellow and some zinc white. And when you hear the name Indian yellow, if you haven't ever heard it before, it's a historical color. We actually don't know what it was made from. It comes out of India. That is something that everybody thinks. And it was said to have been made with cow urine from cows that were being fed mango leaves. The issue with that is that mango leaves absolutely kill cows. And there wasn't a lot of that going on, the murder of cows. So what they think it was is maybe misinformation from competitive paint companies.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to discourage people from using them. I'm going to get into my cat a little bit. So all of the Indian yellows that you see now, are a bit of a hue. Gonna add a little highlight to my trees. Maybe some little bushes here. These are just little bushes. They're far away, right? And they have some different values, don't they? We're just touching and tapping them and enjoying their different values. And maybe these trees have some brighter little bit of yellow. Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
Super fun to do. And you can always just be like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of that. And some landscape. I'm going to rinse out and kind of wipe off.
You went all like,
What?
you went all 70s soothing voice on us.
I'm sorry. It's soothing to me. Here's the deal.
Okay, you got your landscape voice on, what you did.
I did get my landscape voice on, and if you talk out loud, here's your challenge. Sit at home and paint something super serene and relaxing like a landscape and see if you don't get the bob sound around your voice. It's like unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird because you'll be like, that's just a nice little river, isn't it? Gosh, I like that little river so much.
And then you're talking to the little river and
you're talking to the little river and the river's like, hey.
It's like, I'm a rave river. You just don't know it from there. You get down here, it's a rave. We got like rapids and you don't know it, but this is a party.
You don't own me.
I only know that because I've gone down a few rivers that have
I have done
eaten
whitewater rafting myself.
They look all nice from far away, but you get there and they're like, nope, I'm going to pin you to the bottom of the river until I want to let go.
Well, let's go when it feels like to let go. It's a force of nature. I'm just trying to give my little distant river some values. Some nice values. And I can always come back easily with the ultramarine. It's always fun to play ultramarines against other blues because their color theory starts to hit that and you can have some very beautiful, wonderful effects. I'm going to come back with my bright now and paint in a highlight of my white. Highlight of my white, just pure white. Just have a nice little happy white sitting there on the bank. Little catch of snow in the distance, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Little catch of snow. Snow says, I got you. Got a little blanket. I'm going to get a little of my yellow and my nice zinc. And I'm going to come here. And pull down some of this great color. Greeny yellow is wonderful. That does happen in this river a few places. Mostly you see it over the falls because what's happening is it's churning, I think, the iron and some of the mineral as the water goes down. So you'll see some of that color in.
Interesting.
I know, right? Now, my other hills and canyons and things, they're bigger. And I'll start painting that in. But if I want to paint that in, I'm going to do a bigger brush. I will try this filbert. This is a Raphael Texture number 16. Basically, I'm just looking for a brush that's going to give me a nice edge that's soft. This is a filbert, so that's kind of wonderful. And I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and my ultramarine blue and begin to talk about this craggy, wonderful mountainscape. You hear that sound of the brush?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wonderful? That's a nice brush sound.
Very nice.
We're just painting this in painterly. We're just putting color on here, and that's enjoyable. And it's really sticking, mostly because the gesso's letting that happen. You can always add a little of your hinting white, your zinc, if you want some of this to sort of show in the like little implications of this color. And because we're painting very rough, rocky, craggy mountains, I think it's a good idea to paint them in kind of rough strokes. Make sure you take this down far into the hill you know you're building here, because as you layer these, you are for sure going to want that there. I'll come right here to the edge of the fall with my blue. All quite dark right now. Just pulling that blue, and it's a little burnt sienna and a little of our zinc white. We're just painting that in right now. It's a craggedy little mountain, right? Craggedy. Oh, little rough strokes. Rough strokes. These are rough strokes. And sometimes it's nice to get a little black in there. And you can come right here. In landscape painting, you tend to be a little reserved about black. It's not too common. It does happen. Little short strokes. I'm going to pay attention to the directionality of the rocks. These little short strokes. Just touching. Line that up there. We got short stroke. Be here for a minute. We don't mind because it's a calm minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a make us feel better about everything kind of minute. The world may be very stressful, but it's not stressful here. If you were sitting right here looking at this canyon, those worries would start to fall away. That concern would start to go away. And you would start to feel connected. All that big landscape that's been here for eons. And that's important. Feel that landscape that's been here for eons. I'm going to rinse out. Get my blue. And again, a little of my zinc over my titanium white. My titanium white is a very powerful white. And you'll see even with this, it's quite a lot. Little touching strokes. Little touching happy strokes. And we'll take a little rest break at around an hour and 15 minutes to go to the restroom. I'll let us know when that is.
We're at about 48 minutes right now.
All right, in about 10, 15 minutes, we'll take a little rest break. Make a cup of coffee and stretch. Right now, we're just painting this wonderful mountain. I am loving doing this. All right, this may not be the last time I do this type of landscape. I have to say, therapeutically, this is what I've been needing all week. It is what I've been needing all week. Sometimes I'm getting a darker blue involved. And again, rough strokes. Definitely need some rough strokes there. Distant, it's a little rough, and then, you can get into your brown. You might even get into these two together. Just add a little of that there. And maybe there's a little bit here. Coming down. And then I can get into the burnt sienna, which is actually, before we really had reds, burnt sienna, when you put it on a canvas, even that seems like a very muted color. When you compare it to these other little colors, it's quite exciting, isn't it? A little bit of that iron ore kind of running down the hill. Little iron ore. Yeah, little iron ore. And here's an interesting thing. I could take a little of my had red in my phthalo blue, and they normally don't make anything that you would think of as purple, but they have a bit of a gray purple cast to them. And in a landscape, will feel quite purple compared to the other colors. It isn't. Very muted. You couldn't do a dogs here because it would be just too much. You would be just overwhelmed by it. This gives you some color to play with. And that nice distant blue hill. And then if I want to, I can come in and say, all right, I'm going to take some white. I'll definitely tone it back with a little ultramarine. It'll feel quite bright, but it is, not as bright as that. Along this little hill, a little snow is going to start to come down. The beginnings of that snow that's laid down. The trick will be rough shapes. We need rough, snowy shapes. Now you can use your references. We've got the reference in the corner. If you can't print out right now, just a little. And we can do pops of bright snow. Oh gosh, isn't that nice? It's really nice. You guys feel like it's nice?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just slipping into that wonderful meditative painting place? Because it's easy to get there in a project like this. Let's put some. It's clearly snow, but it's a little bit further back. Little pops, little light touches of snow here and there. Don't forget the light touches of snow. Maybe an area has a bigger spot. And there's this wonderful, glacial bit of snow right here. See how that's looking. Lightly touch where you don't need it to be strong, and just give yourself a couple places. The snow. I'm going to rinse out. We're almost to our resting place. We're going to get through this little section here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be ready to rest. Let's take a little of our yellow ochre and our burnt sienna. We're going to say, oh, hey, have you come right here. Maybe back into the snow, breaking it up. Little bits of color. Against that white. And maybe we get some black. Contrast is very key. And when you're doing snow, believe it or not, there is a marriage with the color black.
Hmm.
And it's because the starkness of the snow creates that sense of things being black, even when they're maybe not really actually. They might not really actually be black, but they feel a little black. That's important. Rinse out thoroughly. Get some white. It's okay if it has a little ultramarine in it, but it should be much brighter this time and thicker. And come along this bank here. Let's put down some thick snow. Put down some thick snow. Need some thick snow right over the top of the snow that we had. My handle is kind of perpendicular to the canvas, and doesn't that look like highlights on snowbanks? Feel like I should have been doing this on the channel the whole time. This is so fun. This is so super fun. No wonder all the artists like to come here and paint this stuff.
Yeah.
No wonder they do. Look at that snow. Now, interestingly, down here, this one has some other little colors and things, and we'll respect it. Because we have our pops of white. Wow, we're doing so good, aren't we? Okay. I love that. It's like
That's
painting an abstract,
great.
but also like a landscape. Let's refresh our drinks, our bodies, our minds. Take a second to stretch. If your water's like my water, take a second to change it. And let's come back in, is it 3 minutes?
It's a 3-minute break.
It's a 3-minute break.
But sometimes we don't always make it back in 3 minutes. So if it loops, we will come back sometime before it finishes its second loop, and it may rewind or get back. You'll know we're coming back.
That's a nice.
We do that. It's turning around. Everyone's really enjoying it when we zoom out on it.
So. I think it's going to be those ones when you get away from it. Now I'm just sorry I didn't do it 4860, because 4860, this thing would have been the most beautiful.
This is amazing.
I'm going to do one 4860.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
White sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze. Eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. white sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze. Eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Take me back to where it all began. Show me myself without the shell. When beauty was enough to save you from yourself. Make me under the ocean. Save me from surface
Oh, there it comes. We're
rejection.
going to turn that down a little bit. Oh, it's so pretty. There's some flowers and some stuff. We're there.
Hey, everybody. There's where we
Hello.
are. We have this much done. But it feels good, doesn't it? Because it's just a beautiful piece. And we get to paint the other side of the mountain now, which is pretty exciting.
Mm.
You guys ready to keep painting mountains and trees and vistas?
I'm ready.
How does everybody feel about these big landscapes? This is the first time on the channel that we pushed back the viewer's perspective this far.
Mm-hmm.
This person's in a mountain looking down a valley, right?
That's
This
true.
is a very distant perspective with a large vista that we're taking in, a panorama
It truly is.
almost. So this is something new. And again, I don't normally do this, but I have to say I do now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't before, but now I do because I had no idea it was so relaxing.
Yeah. It's very relaxing.
Somebody should have gave us a note on that. And like, by the way, you're going to find this style of painting super relaxing. I'm going to bring some bright blue here.
Hello, Trish from Ireland.
Hi, Trish from Ireland. I want to just kind of pop a blue there. I do want to have my black value in the stones, but I just want a bit of blue. And coming down. And then this is interesting over here because it's also sort of very dark, isn't it? Very dark. Oh, I like that. So we're framing in our waterfall. And you'll find when you paint a lot of waterfalls that this framing is not an uncommon event. That kind of happens more than you might think.
Mm-hmm.
I may throw in, and this is going to initially seem a little weird, a bit of my quinacridone magenta. I could have put out dioxazine, but again, it's such a staining, powerful pigment that I'm inclined not to use it at the stage that I want a softer purple when I'm doing a little purple cast to my rocks. the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of my ultramarine and quinacridone together. And as you'll see, they make a very soft purple. And I'm going to gray that very soft purple with my yellow ochre. And we're going to come along this rise of trees. And this is a very jaggedy, granity hewn space. We want to make sure that our lines in it reflect that. I like the purple, kind of in the pink that's sort of in there. And as we work, more of the purple pigment can get pushed out. This is just kind of a basis, a start. And you can see why, given how soft this is, I wasn't inclined to get into my dioxazine. This part
Ooh.
of our hill is definitely got a bit of a purple to it.
Hello, Queensland, Australia.
Hello, Queensland. I bet Australia has some vista.
They got some.
I bet
some.
they got all the vista.
They also have a wonderful variety of spaghetti western. It's very similar to our spaghetti westerns.
Really?
I mean, like, relatively, like, if you're a student of historical films, then, like, yes, it is interesting from that perspective because we went through the same thing through a same artistic viewpoint, oceans apart, because we had a relatively similar experience from the expansion of our countries. So during that time period. So
That
I
went
thought
a
it was
little
very
dark.
well. I mean, like everybody goes through growing, and the growing of that time period was caught on cinema in a spaghetti western.
In a very through rose-colored glasses kind of way.
It's true. But
There's not nearly enough dysentery. Not nearly enough.
but I mean, when you're chasing a train on a horse, it's kind of cool. And there are only a couple of places on the planet where you can have big old wide open spaces where you have a steam train running full out and you get some horses chasing it.
So I won't lie. I too have succumbed to this. I'm a very big fan of Man from Snowy River.
And then you get said steam train going off a cliff, and oh man, have you got a story.
But I have to say, it's changed for me.
It's
a changing for me.
Sure. No, but I mean, you gotta go back and understand that these were product of their time. So not all of them are necessarily the same as they would be viewed today.
True that.
Although when you look at
I'm taking
crossovers,
yellow ochre and a little titanium white. I want the strong coverage, but I want the stone here to have a strong yellow feel.
but
I
when you
almost
talk
need to go more ochre.
when you talk about the idealistic American cowboy in Australia, Quigley Down Under certainly comes to mind.
Well, that's the one I'll say at least was honest. They covered some stuff.
They did. And, there's
So
stuff
for me,
happening.
it's been interesting because we have viewers from all over the world, and so I get to hear about everybody's experiences. But the big one was learning about the ochre pigment wars.
Oh, man, that's so crazy.
So this little color I'm painting with here in the sienna, people have died over it.
And it's a hugely respected thing. You need to know about your pigments. But, to speak from the pulpit of pigment, there's some stuff, man. And ochre has some respect around it we should all learn about. If you're a student of history.
Well, I think it's interesting to understand I wish that history had been taught from the perspective of art history and pigment history. because those to me are so much more interesting than most of what we ever get to hear about in regular history classes.
Mhm.
You can, like, when you understand the mystery behind the Stradivarius, you can actually learn quite a lot about what was happening around the world and why, a refugee might have landed there with a unique knowledge, unique formulation that we can't discover now.
Mm-hmm.
Because his journey would have been unique, his travels would have been unique. He may have had some training that there were very few people like who knew about it. I'm going to get a little of my titanium white and my Indian yellow. And so it's sort of interesting, I think. I'm going to take a little of that and bring that through here. Again, these short kind of strokes. So it is, if you like that kind of stuff, if you like to art nerd out, I highly recommend a book, Victoria Finlay.
Yeah.
The History of Color is really terrific.
It's like if Indiana Jones were real, of course, he would be a woman who went out and found all these cool pigments all over the world.
I have to say, I also think that's true. Would be a woman.
Just kind of funny how it ended up turning out in that. But I love Indiana Jones.
It's the one time if they remake it and they're like, it must be a woman now. I'd be like, yeah, it probably should be. Sometimes I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I'm all for the, got a cool whip and.
Well, John's always loved Quigley Down Under. And I think
Quigley is the dude, though. I've always particularly liked how they were
taking some burnt sienna to kind of offset some of that. Beginning of this here.
Thank you, H&H, for some support out there. There's lots of folks who have commented on that they also are Quigley fans.
Quigley was fun. And also, I miss the mustache. I mean, it's the man's face. It belongs to him. It's his body. I completely feel that. I just miss the mustache. That's all I'm saying. I miss it.
I bet you the mustache was insured at some point.
It had to, right?
That'd be a real interesting thing. That'd be a great YouTube channel. The insurance value of stashes throughout the year. Whose beard's worth the most?
I'm going to do some really strong pops of color. See if I take this orange into this. Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fun, is that you can paint vibrant and get unreal painted colors that are so unique. What you have going on, you just can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this one kind of comes up at an angle, and so I'm going to kind of sweep this way, implying that little curvature of the rock face. I mean, I won't go back with some purple. I'm just breaking up these lines. I'm going to stand back a bit and take in my gorge painting. Hey, my gorgeous gorge painting.
It's a gorgeous gorge.
That was a gorgeous gorge.
That could be a pop song.
It could be, but it should be.
It might be taken wrong and out of context.
Really? I'm so confused by all the context now.
I'm just going to let that one go until the comments come back.
Okay. What did I miss, though? I always feel so bad. I miss big things sometimes.
You're painting. You're in the middle of something.
I'm in the middle of something. I love it covers me. Oh. Your complete tone deafness right now. You're just in the middle of painting. But it's wonderful to bring this in, and you want to break up these lines with different runs of color. And weave them in together. It's kind of great. I can always come in with a little zinc, which will let the mountain let those little areas merge and marry. Merge and marry. Merge and marry.
Mm-hmm.
Such a nice little background. Into the blue.
Into the blue. See, it's another song. I bet you that's got to be a song title somewhere.
I'm sure it is.
Like that sounds like an ELO song, although it's not one I've ever heard of. But
It does sound like an yellow song. Stop dating us. Just kidding. You can date us anytime you want to. So I'm painting the shadow that's in the mountain here. And it can be a good idea to come in with a little of your ultramarine to talk about some of these shadows in the rocks.
The Shadows in the Rocks. That's a heavy metal band.
I'm just touching my brush. The brush is very horizontal to the. Isn't this gorgeous? Why have I not done this before? This is so fun. Oh, so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I forgot to do? Come back with my clean water.
Oh, did you?
I did. I'm going to take, if you want to put it on the fall, I'm going to start painting the fall.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
going to be using my zinc, which is a little transparent, to start to build this up.
Oh, you want to zoom in on the fall, you say?
Yeah, you can zoom in on the fall if you can grab my clean waters.
Yeah, I'll leave it here on the falls while you're working on that. Then I'll get your coffee. Okay.
Lights and darks that are here. And I'm starting to build up with this zinc white so that it's not so powerful at first. We'll pull this over here to the side. Okay, I'm just still working zincs. Just still working the zinc. Just pure zinc. It's not toned or tinted with anything. We're just letting it glaze over. What we have, oh my goodness. That was almost way more entertainment than we needed. I'm still working my zinc, finding those shadows, finding the highlights, glazing it back, but still allowing some of the color underneath to show through. And when John gets here, we're going to have some real fun. Come in and grab some ultramarine.
When is John getting here?
You are here now?
Am I? I think that's a physical. I don't know.
This is now we're doing the ultramarine and zinc.
I mean, philosophically speaking, I am here now, but now is transient, and because I'm recorded in that transient space of time, I'm still here, but when is now?
Don't make me find you. Do something to you, because I will.
I got me a TARDIS. Never have to mow the lawn.
Because you just keep traveling back in time before it needed the mow. I'm just building up this distant, hazy little area here. We've got all this little mist down at the base we need to have. We can even mist into these colors that are wet using the zinc. And that'll help create a nice little zone. Playing with the mist. Now I'm going to get into my titanium white. And I'm still using just this filbert. I'm painting the rough water falling. Let's paint some rough water that's falling down. Water is kind of coming in these sheets. It's not a smooth fall. Anyway.
I keep hearing birds singing.
Do you?
Do you hear birds singing?
I do on occasion hear birds singing, but I think that's because we have all these trees, and so therefore there are birds singing.
There are some. I mean, of all the problems to have, these darn sparrows are singing outside my window so loudly they are interrupting my live
Do you
YouTube
remember
show.
failure to not launch?
What's that?
Do you remember failure to launch?
I do. I don't remember a sparrow reference.
Yeah, no, she had like this songbird that was coming. Zoe Deschanel, her character in that, had this songbird, and her were in this like total war.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Outside the window.
Yeah. I'm trying to capture some of this sort of.
The mockingbird.
It mocked her.
Mine's just a sparrow that likes to sing, which I don't mind so much.
Making sure that that water is like that, where it's got those colors.
Sort of like Gargamel being mad at Smurfs. You
Dude,
singing
what
birds.
was up with him, man? There was no reason for that. They did not think out the reason why this guy was. I mean, he's evil. He was eating sentient beings or something. Wasn't he trying to eat them?
I think it made him immortal. I mean, like, this is a product of that, 60s, 70s, 80s history. Oh, you know what? Into the Blue was a song by Moby. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, Vicky.
And yes, it would, kind of be Moby. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Just pulling some of these little white, and I'll even wiggle the brush sometimes to pull in some texture so that when the water falls. And then what I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to take my number 4 round and some of my phthalo blue. I'm going to come from the top. Here's this interesting spot as the water starts to fall down the fall that's quite blue. And I don't want to lose that. And then behind it, it's a little bit lighter. So just making sure that that is still there. Doesn't that look lovely?
Mm-hmm. Where are you going?
I'm just adding a little bit of my phthalo blue down in the water to sort of clean out some of what's going on here. I'm going to have to put out some more white. It runs out. How you guys liking it so far? It's pretty, right?
Yeah.
Little landscape painting on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, so Mary was just saying that she loved the Smurfs and her dad always rooted for Gargamel. I love it because, this comes from a time when our most existential crisis was a, cartoon old guy who wanted to eat the Smurfs in a buffoonery kind of way with a cat thwarted him most of the time. And so, I laugh at it, but even Teen Titans Go is like a lot more emotionally loaded. They deal
Dude,
with
it really is.
way more complex issues. Not that, there were light issues that the Smurfs dealt with in their first season or two, but
This is just a phthalo blue, and we're just kind of lightening the river.
it's like you real quick fall into the anthropology hole when you start looking at kids' cartoons.
It's an interesting space for sure.
And knowing is half the battle.
Is it though? Is it though? Does anyone else feel like they should make it a requirement before you serve office that you watch I'm Just a Bill? I feel like that should be a rule. You can do this.
Cartoons shall teach us the way.
But you need to watch this first.
I think that also, if you're going to be a world leader, you must watch the cartoon version of Lord of the Rings to get a good basis on what you're going to do. This teaches you all the stuff you should not be doing. All around.
Sure, it does kind of, doesn't it?
It's like a primer. Watch this. Just be good. Go. Don't mess up. Be like a hobbit.
Be like a hobbit. Do as the hobbits do, my friend. Do as the hobbits do. Just a little bit of a sort of a snow right here. And then it's interesting because there's a good bit of it's not actually steam. It feels like it could be steam, but it's not actually steam at all. There's a little bit of snow right here in the I'm gonna go in between these two. So just making sure that that light value's there. We will have to later come in and I love the yellow ochre and the purple. It makes such a good muted color.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second kind of muted hill down here. I'm going to get back into my bigger brush because this will take me too long. And I've got to dry and do a thing for myself. I have to re-chalk in. Because there's a hill over here to the side that has a pretty extreme, come in here and also make sure I've got a little bit of that there. Little iron deposit on the top of this mountain. I'm like, it needs an iron deposit. Do you see? I don't know what you're getting at. Little shadow. Little shadow there. I'm going to dry and re-chalk and then get to the next layers of hills. This is actually, I don't have a guess for how much more we have because some of this has gone faster than I expected.
It's cruising along.
Yeah, it's cruising along.
So all I'm going to say is now that we have a chance, I can talk about the color shift. And the color shift is the stuff that happens when you use inappropriate use of heat when drying your paint. What is an inappropriate amount of heat, you may ask? Well, anything more than normal or anything more. Heat's no good. No heat is good. Don't use heat. Just put it on the coolest setting and put it on there. And because any amount of heat is an inappropriate amount of heat when it comes to cooling, drying your paint, because it's actually the air moving across the surface, which helps speed up the curing process just on that surface skin. So sometimes you'll see that cinnamon has to go back and re-dry a little bit because it doesn't get dry through that just skin layer.
I don't know where I put my Dritz tool, so I'm going to just use a piece of chalk.
A Dritz tool? What's that?
Yeah. That is a chalk drawing tool we used at the beginning. Oh, there it is. There we go.
That thing's a Dritz.
Yeah, this thing's a Dritz.
It's funny because Mary was joking that her dad liked to root for the bad guys, but he was a decorated military veteran, and it's funny how I find that a lot. I have lots of friends who are really down to their heart and soul. Like, they are the good guys, but they always like to egg on the bad guys because they know the good guys are going to come win, Well,
But it's like wrestling.
Yeah, it's
the
fun
best,
sometimes.
most fun characters are the bad guys.
Sometimes the bad guys are especially when they're being bad to be bad guys. It's fun to watch them, but I think that especially first responders and folks like that find a different humor to the bad guys and the peril. They have a different relationship to the peril.
They definitely have a different relationship to peril than I have. My relationship to peril is run away. I'm going to take a little bit of my burnt sienna and my phthalo green, such wonderful colors together. And I'm going to start planting this little peak of trees. This, again, is the Silver Ultra Mini Fan, 20/0. It just gives me a nice little treetop that I can start to talk about. And this whole area here has got a nice little run of trees that come down a crevice.
I feel so helpless sometimes.
This?
There's folks in chat that are saying that they're buffering. And I'm like, hit refresh. But I'm like, well, if you're buffering, you're not going to hear my message of saying refresh. But everyone's saying it in chat. So I feel a little more empowered that way. It's an existential crisis of a live producer.
These are trees.
These are trees.
They're not an existential crisis. They are trees.
And you're using a tiny brush on the edge, which is kind of interesting.
It just is giving me some wonderful texture. And then especially when I capture the highlights. It's just wonderful. And again, if you're into fan brushes or you've never used one, you don't have to have this exact one. You just want a smaller fan. There are lots of small fans out there. I like this one, though, quite a lot. I'm going to come right here. And when you need to paint big areas, you just kind of move the fan to its more fan position. So you have that kind of nice spacing there. Now add some Indian yellow. And we'll highlight the right side of some selected trees. We kind of create their shape and form with the highlights. The trick to that is try to find a random set of spaces there that you're doing. How are you guys liking this? Lots of new techniques today. Lots of new techniques and tools. Now, as I go into my yellow, I'm going to grab some of my zinc, not my titanium white.
Angie, I think it was it. So let me go back over here to chat. There's a good question. Angie said, did we all grow up in the 80s? And I was going to say, if you're from the 80s, nobody grew up. So.
Well, we're doing what we can do. Just finding little highlights. Not fun?
Yeah.
Little highlights in the trees. Maybe like here has a highlight.
When you get to a little breaking place, let me know.
I can break in a second.
It's okay. I'm just going to... There may be some stream buffering issues, and I'm going to reset our connection just to make sure. No one here will necessarily even notice anything, but I just want to do it when we go over here and do a bubble break. Oh, it looks like it's smoothed everything back out anyway, but I've got I've got a little control panel that shows me all the datas, and sometimes the datas lie to me, and sometimes they make me nervous, and the data was saying, you should be afraid. And so,
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
and I was like, well, like, I think I know. I don't always trust it because sometimes it gets confused based on other data that gets caught up in the system. It's hard to explain it all, but when it's trying to look at network traffic, it can be fooled. So
Oh, it's a nice little round trees, isn't it?
anyway,
So nice. So
it's
nice.
so very nice.
I'm going to get a little of my zinc white just on my fan here. I'm going to make some little mist. I'm going to use my fan's wonderful shape to inform the nature of that mist. Isn't that wonderful? Let me get some. You still need me to?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. Because I will.
It-
I'll do anything for you, baby.
My dashboard went all green lights, so
Okay.
man. We have a abundance of folks here who know what it's like to rewind a tape with a pen.
Really?
There's a few of us around.
Good for us.
Be kind, rewind.
Oh. I think about our generation a lot.
Mm.
And I think about like our typical villain with the polo shirt. And I think that might have been based on somebody who's now my age.
Hans Gruber?
Hans Gruber honestly was a fantastic villain. I'm not talking about that. I mean like the Biffs. I mean the Biffs of the world. I think the Biffs are out there thriving. I do. Catching some highlights on some of the mist. Not too much. It's just sometimes nice to give it some multi-tonal value. Oh gosh, isn't that mountain?
Mhm.
Better.
I think you almost have to be a Gen Xer to understand why it would hurt more with a spoon.
I think you do have to be a Gen Xer to understand why it would hurt more with the spoon.
Yeah.
I have made some orange. I'm going to start to come in here and talk about some bases for some wonderful iron runoff.
And that's why these hills look like they're bleeding colors a bit, so to speak.
It is. It's the strong mineralization of the hills. And what you're doing is you're just sort of painting that. It's nice to put in pops of maybe not quite cad yellow, I'll kind of push that back, but a bit of that cad orange so that as we paint it forward, and the other thing that does is it really lets it jump from the trees. I'm going to get a little of my white into there. And these strokes will be interesting. They'll be longer strokes for some spots. Because some of this hill is kind of just running down. Not all of it, but some of it is kind of running down. I can always come in here and get my purple going. Grayed out color with a lot of white. Pink color for sure. It may take a couple little passes to get the full smooth, but you're just talking about
All right, so
hmm,
I've got a. This is a strange question, but I don't even.
I
So,
took some ultramarine into that orange mix. It's going to make a gray, but if you'll notice, the gray is very synergistic to the colors that we already have here because we use them as a mother color or a color that's sort of mixed through all of them. Isn't that wonderful? This part of the hill that we're shading up.
this is really pretty.
So nice. So nice. Getting some of that peek out. And again, we're getting that first rough run of layer happening there. Because sometimes you need some. So this is a weird question. You must finish that up with something. I must
okay.
know.
All right. So, all right. So we made the with a spoon, because it would hurt more with a spoon joke, which, is referring to Alan Rickman's role of Sheriff of Nottingham, right? And so when Amy said that was one of of Alan Rickman's best roles, I was like, gosh, I always thought Frankenfurter was, but I was like, no, that's Tim Curry. And then I thought, I wonder if Rickman has ever played Frankenfurter, because he would make a fantastic Frankenfurter, I think.
I absolutely am up for remakes, but sometimes I don't love every remake.
No, well, I mean, it just that was what sort of like why I was like, he would make a good one, though.
He would make a good one, and we would enjoy him in that capacity, would we? Would we, sir?
Oh,
We might.
who doesn't like a Shakespearean actor in heels?
No one I need to know. Kind of putting a little green into that earth there at that corner. Sometimes it's fun to get a little green into the earth. Oh, a little of the green coming down the mountain. A little short strip, right? A little short.
So this is an interesting question that I don't know and really applies to landscape paintings because it's used a lot here.
Yeah.
And so Annette, our friend from Queensland, Australia, down under, asks, Cinnamon,
What does she ask?
does zinc white affect the painting like it does in oils?
No.
I don't even know what that means. How does it affect
so
it?
if you're an oil painter, there is, and it has been, by the way, addressed by the fine art companies led by Golden Artist Colors. There was an issue with zinc in oils because of the way the zinc and the binders interacted, where the zinc was flaking and crazing and behaving in a way that was not great for the longevity of the work. So all of the people interested in the archival nature of art got together and really looked at it, and they have resolved it. And it was never an issue that we are aware of in acrylic paint, and it was looked at. So, come on over it. We need more trees, my friend.
You can never do with enough trees.
There's not enough tree. And I need to see all the things that are trees for me. I'm going to get some ultramarine blue into this little group of trees that come in front of this little space right here. I want to come under here at first with just a little bit of my ultramarine and maybe a little of my phthalo blue. And come under here. Because there's this interesting little overhang that happened that I was like fascinated by. And a little blue into that. What happened there? Little pops of blue. Because you know what? I'm about it. I'm
Are you
also
about it?
hot. Hot. I'm taking my ultramarine, my phthalo green, and my burnt sienna, and I'm making the deepest of the forest pine. I'm still using my ultra mini pine maker.
Making the trees.
Making the trees, making some trees. I'm going to come back here and layer up this hill the way it is, but I just want to make sure that I get some trees coming down here. That's interesting. This is a little different than the normal way. This is the vertical pine. We're making groves at a distance. Groves at a distance. Just a nice little grove at a distance.
Mmm.
Little bushes and groves at a distance. Sometimes I move the little brush around to bush it up. Little bush and grove at a distance. Do you grove at a distance?
Do you grow at a distance?
I grove at a distance. I'm a responsible grover. Just stippling this up and down. Showing some different little outliers. These are outliers, aren't they? And if you want to give yourself some little bits of differential, I'll come in with my zinc and highlight just a few lightly. These are not as highlighted, they're more in a shadow. So there's some tonality for sure, but it's not as big as, say, something else. And I'll come along this hillside as you would. Showing that there. With a little bit of that. You can always get some of your Indian yellow for some little yellow highlights that aren't too noticeable against the backgrounds. And we'll leave that to the side for a second as we work that out. Now, this wonderful set of little embankments definitely has one of our kind of crazy purple hues to it, which I always think is fun to have to. We'll make that work. Edge of the grove. A little bit of snow fell along there. Very bop, just a little bit of snow. Fell right there.
Mm.
Zinc there. I think it's going to need actual titanium white. There we go. That hurt. There we go. Sometimes I gotta hit it hard. It's fun to shade the snow. Shade the snow, shade the snow. It's fun to shade the snow. All right, so we have this right here. I'm going to go ahead and get some zinc into that. And I'm going to start painting our nice rocky outcropping that we have up high. And we have these up high because, like, less trees are going to grow up there and the mineral contents are higher. That's always fun. I'm going to grab some yellow and mix that in there a little. ochre running down the mountain. A little green and brown. Talk about some of that dark area. Always good. Now look at what you're working from and see how you're going to represent what it's got going on. Where do I need a dark value? Well, I need a dark value here. Where's the minerals running down? You know, how can I paint that? How can I paint these wonderful minerals running down? Little bits of dark stonework that are coming down our mountain. Oh, and then there's sort of an outcropping there, and so we want to make sure we've got that. A little bit of that. Some just discoloration, some different little mountain going. You can always get more into the burnt sienna, and it's nice if it's still toned with your green a bit. A little yellow ochre. And I got to keep remembering that I've got this wonderful, burnt sienna. Not burnt sienna, burnt umber that's a foot right here I can get into. I haven't rinsed my brush. The reason for not rinsing my brush is that sometimes the marrying of colors that are working, like, look how messy my brush is. I think that's a thing that we don't show enough as artists when we're painting, to say, hey, this is all happening inside my brush as I go. Right? That's kind of magical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know if nobody thought to tell you that it was happening. I'm gonna almost a diamond pattern of runoff here. I want to play into. I don't want to go away. I'll just keep looking at your reference and see where you see a little pop of color, and enjoy putting it there. They have a lot happening, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit greenery here. I can come back with some pine trees. I just want to have a little bit right there. I'm pulling down the hill. Blend that a bit. Make sure that's married through the hill. You want to make sure your colors are married through your hill. Now I feel like there's a lot more bright orange color in this hill than I maybe have here right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into my cad red and my yellow. And it's okay, I'll put some burnt sienna in it, but I just want that kind of bit of that. These are iron deposits that are washing down in that erosion. How wonderful. And it is a bit of painting, you know. Go. It is a, as you're working your way through, I'm going to just dry brush this down and I'm going to allow these mineral deposits to run down. They're running down there. And they run down the hill beautifully.
Yeah.
You know, a little of my ultramarine and pink, some white, and you know, we can even do the raw umber to tone it. But there'll be that undertone of purple.
You're an unusual one there, little cinnamon Sherpa.
I am.
You-
How am I unusual?
I don't know many people who just go, see that picture of that waterfall there that I've never done? I'm going to go paint it live on YouTube in 3 hours without rehearsal. And I'm all like, sure, that's a good idea.
Not nice.
What could go wrong with us?
Nothing. Nothing could go wrong. We're just painting. What could go wrong? We're just painting.
I guess it's a low risk maneuver.
It's very. Yes, we're just painting.
We're not trying to get Falcon Heavy into orbit.
Look, I didn't say that I was going to do my first heart surgery with no training and no schooling for the first time on YouTube. That would be terrible. That would be the worst idea. I mean, I paint a lot of things, and the thing is that painting one thing is pretty much the same as painting many other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've never done it. Now I will always do it. I can tell you that right now. I love it.
I'm going to be here a minute doing this with you.
Yeah,
Guess
this is
what I got?
fantastic.
I got a new, what's today? Is that, say Saturday? Sunday? What's it?
It is Saturday. We
I got
do
a
this
new
on
s-
Saturday.
A new Saturday afternoon hobby. It's not exactly new, but it's now on a schedule. Which is actually pretty cool.
I like to have a little bit of that there. Just making some dark values. A nice rough edge. You'd want one. These are little detail lines that might be along the shore. Help us know that this is there, and how wonderful is that? A little white. Because we still have a little snow and things happening here. A bit of it is deposited here and there. This is just the zinc white. Deposit some. Just deposit some. Here's some titanium white, I think. Yep, still. Hi, Twig. How are you? I'm painting. What are you up to? I really like that. I enjoy all the sort of weird little little fun bits and bumps and elements of what I'm doing. I'm going to add some shadows to this. Some just little definitions of rough rocks and things that have maybe are darker. It sometimes is important how you talk about the darks as it is how you talk about those light colors. Don't forget that stones cast shadow. And in places like this, they're very often on all the hills. Not to mention, now I think we need some more trees, my friends.
More tree.
More trees, more trees. Happy, happy, more trees. Little bit of ultramarine and phthalo blue and no, phthalo green and burnt sienna. There's some nice deep dark trees.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Happy birthday, Stephanie!
I
Oh,
just
that's
saw
right.
her-
It is Stephanie's birthday.
I just saw the Stephanie join in chat, and there was like all of these little birthday wishes, and it's like, oh, hello, Stephanie.
Stephanie is lovely.
It's been some happy days.
It has been some happy days.
There was a Canadian independence and a Sherpa birthday and an American independence and a Stephanie Barlow birthday, and then there's lots of other birthdays that have been happening. Those are just the ones that I'm aware of.
Is it Canadian independence or just the day it was founded? I don't think.
Canada
I'd
Day.
like to correct a misunderstanding.
They're not
We
independent.
Americans know that Canada.
Well,
did
okay,
not.
so Canada asked nicely, and they became independent.
Yeah, but they still have a queen.
Yes, but they just asked nicely. They didn't. It was very Canadian. It was awesome.
Because it wasn't over hockey.
But they were just like, can't we settle this over hockey? And everyone was like, yeah, that sounds very reasonable. Beer and hockey, we should do it that way. That's not exactly how it went. But now you should go read about Canadian history. You have a reason to learn some more information about Canada, our bigger brother to the north.
Big brother to the north. It's about right, too, isn't it? That nice little bit of tree that just sort of finds its way on that hill. These trees they're just growing, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Growing along the hill, and you want to make sure that you talk about some of these little trees that could be happening on the hill. Got a little zinc into that mix. I haven't rinsed out. Sometimes it's nice to highlight a few of your trees, put some light on them, let them see some sunlight. Give them a reason to grow. There's no bee killing trees here. These trees are all protected. Aren't they? All protected and safe. As we go. I think.
Hmm.
I think they're all protected and safe. Doing safe tree things. Safe tree things. And I use my little fan brush to make some low bushes, and I'm sort of wiggling the brush back and forth. Just low bushes. And come along the shoreline and kind of grow some things up. Just playfully. I'm going to stand back from this now. Are we at our hour 2 yet?
We are, yes, 2 hours and 7 minutes.
All right, let's take another break so I can make a fresh cup of coffee. And I think I'm going to guess. If I guess, it'll make it longer, but I'm thinking about 30 minutes from done.
Really? That's not too bad.
30, 40 minutes from done, somewhere in there.
All right.
This is a full 3-hooter, but isn't it pretty?
Mm-hmm.
It has all the colors. Let's mist our palettes so we have
Mist
some
your
paint when
palette.
we get back.
And you'll get to watch a loop or two of
Waterfalls and stuff.
Waterfalls and wonderful stuff. And we'll be right back. Right?
Yes, right back.
Bye.
White sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze. Eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Take me back to where it all began. Show me myself without the shell. When beauty was enough to save you from yourself. Make me under the
more mountains. Doing big vistas. Let's bubble that.
So I have a question.
I have an answer while I sip my coffee and prepare mentally for the final leg of our journey.
As a panda rises from the ashes of the former panda, why such a long painting, Sherpa?
What?
Why such a long painting?
Why is it taking so long, or why did I pick one that took long?
Well, both.
Well, it takes long because there's a lot of color mixing and layers and technique to do. And I picked one that takes so long because you guys ask me to do that sometimes, to show you what it takes to make a more involved painting. But when you look at, and we'll look at the end about the simple painting versus the complex painting, I think the best thing to help you understand how to get from your 1 hoots to your 3 hoots is to kind of compare the two of them when you see how they're constructed. Even if you're still doing Friday night paintings, come by and watch the 3 hoot paintings, because I'll give you an idea of what is the journey from where you're at to this space. And it's not as far as you might think.
So what you're saying is, if we request in the comments down below for you to do something, that you'll read those comments and do it?
So not necessarily guaranteed do it.
But you'll read the comments.
I read them all. And if I hear people consistently asking for something again and again and again, I will tend to put it on the schedule. Here's what I mostly paint for you guys. And it's not that I don't paint for myself, because anytime I stand at the easel, it is for me. But I'm past that point in my art journey where I'm not concerned with what I'm painting. Right? I don't have to have a specific thing I'm painting. It's the very process of painting, and it's the process of solving the techniques and seeing how each of the elements relates to each other, composition, all those kind of nitty-gritty journey bits. And the result is kind of not as important to me. So this puts me in a unique position to be able to really listen to you guys about the kinds of things you want to paint.
You know what they want? You know what there's been a huge request for?
Okay, what?
Bubbles. Get those bubbles going and do the Sherpa dance. I don't know what the Sherpa dance is, but I don't know what that is. Okay. We teach art here, just in case, not math or dancing.
Or spelling. Or singing. We just do all those things.
Occasionally, we do get into rocket science, but it's only a little bit. That's just...
I'm going to go paint some more. You silly goof. I'm going to get into my cleaner water. Cleaner water. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue. I think my ultramarine blue and my green. And under my trees, I'm going to kind of imply a little run. Just a little something to talk about the way that those colors tend to continue on down the hill. Now, I've got this wonderful, interesting kind of wild ridge, which I'm actually going to start with this green color here, interestingly enough. And I'm going to say it comes like this and is down. I'll go ahead and get some of this over here. It's a little bit darker. Just kind of finishing out this side, and then I'll finish out that side. And then we'll be done.
They're all about your jewelry today.
Yeah, my jewelry. Take a little of my, get a little of our brown colors into this, and
now
start to pull that down.
I've never worn one. So is it a barrette or
It's a brooch and a barrette.
Okay. What
it is both the things.
It is both. See, I keep wanting to call it a beret, but that's like
it
the
is
hat.
Not a raspberry beret.
Because that's a hat. I'm a hat
Can
person.
You buy a second-hand store? Raspberry beret. It's not one of those.
Nope, it's not. It's not.
It's not. It's not. Don't do it. Don't go there. Taking a little bit of the red to add some ore. Add some ore to the ground, right? Add some ore. Some ore. To the ground. It wants it. It loves it. So similar to what we did last night, isn't it? Lots in common with it. Lots in common.
You could paint a raspberry beret.
I could paint a raspberry beret. You know, I wasn't able to do a Prince tribute painting. And really, that was a lot about just being sad. Sometimes
Artist.
if I'm really sad about a thing, I just don't have the strength to do a painting about it. And it's not that, I mean, like, I have never been able to do a 9/11 painting.
Dude could represent a
I
shiny
just can't touchstone into that without being too wrecked to function.
Yeah, no.
And I just go back to that day emotionally and mentally, and I can't. It's not that it isn't perfectly cool to use art to paint feelings about things like that. That's what art's for. It's just sometimes some things, some subjects will be so powerful that you're just not able to. It's not possible.
You know, who else could? I mean, I loved that he could rock a shiny suit the way he did. That was fashion was all about it. Not to mention, I am a sucker for the falsetto and 4 on the floor beat, and the dude had both.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that. I'm not. I actually haven't done an actual dive on Prince's works to find out where his influences have come from. But I can only imagine that Chicago House has got to play a big influence in it.
I would have no idea. That would be all John knowing. This is a number 6 bright. I've got some ultramarine into my dirty brush. See how the brush is dirty from previous colors? And
Well,
I'm
you
just
said-
adding some of the starts of maybe some darker colors that could be here.
See, on these longer paintings, you get to introspective me.
I do.
Because I'm watching and
You're
here.
thinking.
We're thinking deep thoughts.
You're thinking those deep thoughts. You're like deep thought itself.
Well, no.
Answering those questions. I'm gonna take a little black and green together.
I think Mr. Handy has a trademark on deep thoughts, but you know,
Mr. Handy?
yeah, that was a Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh, I would have thought it was Jim Douglas, but okay.
Maybe it was Jim. No,
Because
Was-
Deep Thought was the computer from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
right? Oh yeah, no. See, different reference pop culturally.
Everyone who
both
knows me is
good.
like, yes, of course she went to the Hitchhiker's Guide. Where did you think she would go, John? There's like one place that she goes. Just getting some of these. So the dark, I think the black is also an iron. Have to look at it. If you go to the national park, generally there's an education series that often is either very inexpensive or free. They have some great programs for kids to be junior rangers. And you can even sometimes
Okay.
take tours. I don't think that's going on right now.
Can I tell you a secret?
Uh-huh.
You do not have to be a kid to get a junior ranger badge.
Really?
I got one. Both places we went.
Sorry, that's so funny.
I didn't know you didn't know. Like when the kids went through, I went through too.
I never know what you're up to. I'm always doing my own thing.
Yeah, I had my Polaroid camera and I was just taking pictures and doing the little mission and I was loving it. It's awesome. Got a badge. It's sitting on the shelf behind me.
I'm applying a thick application of ochre to this front hill. I feel also that it's calling for some light values as well. I'm through here, so I don't want to miss those. These aren't snow. These are definitely a sediment deposit.
So any question that starts with, does your do your kids know how cool you are? I think just is it setting you up to have like that?
Our kids do not remotely think we're cool.
No.
My littlest might still think I'm cool,
Yeah,
but it's
there's-
like going to be over in a minute.
Yeah, she's too little to know better.
But she's starting to come to.
Yeah. And, for heaven's sake, once they're past a certain age, they will never come to her for artistic help.
Actually, and I try not to. I try to just be there for them artistically and not teach them, because it's just, you're so vulnerable when you're creative, and you need your mommy to just be on team all the time.
Yeah.
And so the job of being an art teacher sometimes goes against the job of being a mommy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're kind of sometimes are opposite ends of the goal spectrum. Oh, I like all
I like how it's turning out. So I'm staying very close on.
I'm
gonna zoom out.
gonna get some zinc, and I'm gonna start to take this bright here and dance along the river. Let's do some white water.
So you've kind of gone and just filled this in from the left to the right.
Yep.
And you're just like, I'm gonna paint it in now.
Sometimes you do things in an order for a reason. But sometimes all it is you've got to make a decision. You just have to decide. You just have to say, I'm painting this thing in, and we shall begin here. And just go with it. Sometimes that's all you can do. A little bit of white water. There we go. I'm going to check at that and see if I'm happy with how that looks.
Zoom back out.
Yeah, I'm real happy with how this painting has come out.
Suki was asking, did you feel like that with your mom?
My mom was really savvy to this, I think, early. A lot of people think, oh, your mom trained you. No. I had like a handful of art lessons ever with mom. She took me to watercolor workshops, and she took me to the art museum all the time, and she framed my art, and she put it up on the wall, and she made it important. She did often put a lot of pressure on me to come up with a way to monetize my art, which I did rebel against for a period of time. Where I was like, not everything has to be monetized. Except I think at the time, we don't need to make money and sell our art so all the time. But she was just really there for me, and she made sure that I had access. We did a couple classes together, and they were very light, and I enjoyed them. And she would sometimes very delicately come by and make suggestions or critiques with varying results for me, where I would hear it well. But I also had professional art materials. I painted on loose leaf, arches, 300-pound watercolor paper. And I had gorgeous watercolors, and I had amazing pastels, and I had real acrylics, and I had real everything. And she never treated my art like it was stupid or childish or unimportant. And I think that's, I probably took that lesson from her, and I try where I can to do the same with my kids. Because, sometimes you just, doesn't matter who your parent is, you just don't want to hear it. Right? Even as the best parent in the world, because you're already saying, wash your hair, brush your teeth, put on deodorant. You have a lot of things that I say all day to the kids that's instructional. If I had to come by in their beautiful creative space and be like, you really need to shade underneath that object there and balance out your negative space, the kids would be like, oh, thanks. Just one more thing for the day. But I do sit and paint with them. I just zip it. I only answer questions that I'm asked.
Yeah.
I quietly attempt to participate in their experience. As I can, as they allow me. Is that it? I don't know if all that. My kids are well behaved. They're good kids.
They are good kids.
They're good kids. It's just sometimes you just don't want your parents seeing all the things. Your favorite. Like, zip it, Mom.
Zip it.
Zip it.
It's funny. Yeah, the perspective from a parent, things change.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's no warning, is there?
None.
None. Like they have no way. Like they tell you all this stuff before you have a kid. They're like, get sleep. Anytime anybody offers you sleep, get sleep. Stuff like that. They don't tell you stuff like, guess what? All zombie movies are ruined forever. For just ever. Even if it's your very favorite genre movie, you're done with that nonsense because that does not seem fun with a baby. Whole bunch of movies that I used to like that like the minute I had kids, I was like, I can't enjoy this anymore at all. Going along the space, making some rough little rocky decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we do. And some nice little rocky decisions. Starting to pull in there. That's just tough with kids. How can you be there for them without, oh gosh, squelching them, shutting them down? I don't know. Hard. Parenting is the hardest thing I do all week. And it's the thing I probably don't feel great at. I feel like pretty good as a painter. I feel pretty good as a teacher. I am taking a little ultramarine and adding some depth to these trees in this section of the forest. Like I feel good about that advice right there that I just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes with kids, it's hard to feel that confidence, that knowing that you have the answers, and often I'm not really sure I do.
Oh. It's you gotta, as a Gen Xer, some of our best examples as parental role models was Darth Vader. So,
I don't know how to answer that. Darth Vader was definitely not an example of my parent. I would say my parents were Emmett Brown. And I'm trying to figure out that my dad's definitely Emmett.
I said there weren't very good role models for us. All we got was Darth Vader.
Oh. Oh, we did get Vader.
Yeah,
It was okay.
That was, major father figure roles in pop culture.
Oh, well. The parents in our pop culture were generally like, I think the best example of it was Weird Science. Gary, your son, Gary. I think it felt like that, or I don't know if you guys remember the Better Off Dead movie.
Chet was awesome.
Chet. Again, the villain.
The villains.
I think Chet is alive and well and living in the world.
He's the
not understanding basic stuff is Chet.
And yet head of the multinational organization.
Yes, with lots and lots and lots of power. Because what they didn't tell us is, guess what? Alex B. Keaton does not win. Chet wins.
So I was working.
That's who wins. Chet wins.
And there's some really good.
I am taking some white into my yellow ochre. The brush is dirty, and I'm going to add some light value here. So again, I'm just looking to find the values that I see and paint them as I see them. So you're saying something? So
No, just reflecting on the wonderful pop culture-ness of
it
our
all?
lives.
Was there? Just another minute.
See,
Monday.
the generation, like, I would say just before Gen Xers got lots of good parental examples, like the Cleavers.
Who's the generation before Gen Xers?
Let's see, there's the Boomers, there's
right before. Is it the Boomers right before us?
I think so. I think it went Boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alphabet Soup, and then Millennials, and then more Alphabet Soup.
So first of all, I don't have that opinion that some generation sucks and some other generation is superior. Like, I actually
No,
like millennials,
just-
guys.
I think
I don't know
everybody's
what to
just
tell you. I think with the boomers, it's kind of a mixed bag because it was a big spectrum.
and then there was a silent generation,
Right.
and then
It's a big
the
spectrum of people, though.
greatest generation.
You know,
And-
I think how I try to think of the differences in the generation, because there were so many different things going on, is the access to technology and how that impacted us.
Yeah.
Those of us that can set the clock on the VCR.
Also, Gen X, I believe, was the first generation born with a soundtrack.
Yes.
Because almost from birth, all of us had music integrated deeply into our experience, both of our lives and pop culture. We were the first generation really to see soundtracks become part of music in video, television, things like that, is part of our upbringing in that phenomenon, so to speak. I get so self-introspective when you start painting mountains.
Because that's what mountains make you do. They make you think about the nature of your life.
See, and then there were some great examples of parent role models from our generation, the Bundys.
So the Bundys were fantastic. I'm sorry. I love the Bundys. I do. They were awesome.
And I guess there was the guy who grunted next door.
Mm. Oh,
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. The Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was interesting. See, for me, I think it was All in the Family. Alex B. Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. I think his parents were like, I love these parents. I am adding light and values. I'm trying to keep these spaces colorful. And really speak to the way that the minerals are running off them. And also just enjoying what's left to paint. Right? Because sometimes it's enjoyable to see what's left to paint, isn't it? I like to see what's left to paint. Yeah, I'm always interested. I think there's something to learn from every generation.
Mm.
There's value and there's lessons and there's wisdom. Even when generations are, new here, to me, I'm like, all right, I want to know what you have to say. I think there's a lot to offer. We have a lot to share with each other. There's value in our communication. I don't think right now we're good at communicating.
What?
You think I'm going to fall for that? In the middle of a show, sir, I am not new here.
My daughter still falls for that all the time.
Oh, it makes her so.
She repeats herself, and if I get her the third time, it's the best, because in the middle of it, she'll realize what's happening, and then probably try to throw something at me.
She does. That beautiful ridge of mountain, isn't that great? It's terrific. Need to get some of my red and yellow into this. And just some. Let's get some more runoff, right? Just pull in. Sometimes it's nice to pull in from the side. Change that direction.
Oh, man. They're bringing up some stuff here in chat from the Wayback Machine. Like, there's some shows that I can't even, how did they get past?
Oh, dude. There's some shows now you watch and you just cringe. Like Alf? Dude.
Oh, okay. So, Soap was one that
You
came...
can't do that now. Let me tell you what you can't do with now. You can't mess with cats.
You can't
the internet
have a
has
cat.
ruled that true.
No, you can't
And that
have
was before the Netflix documentary. Anyone who's been on anything since bulletin boards on, no, cats off limits.
Yeah, no. Can't have a cat eating alien.
Mm-mm. It's a whole different movie now. Take this wonderful.
But they managed to get past a television show where it was like an airport in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, I watched Wings. I just
That
want
was
to
it.
tell you right now, I was very invested in the entire emotional set of Wings.
And man,
You knew I watched Wings.
they could make a television show on anything back then, and it would go into syndication immediately.
Yeah, but like the Golden Girls, that was fantastic. That was like better TV than any of us had a right to. We didn't even know how good that TV was.
Man,
We didn't. We thought we knew. We didn't know. That was some special sauce right there. Some of those little trees.
getting those trees put in there.
You got to put in a tree on occasion, sir. I mean, it was amazing. And, talk about speaking about women's rights and real issues. Golden Girls like tapped into it,
Mm-hmm.
as did Designing Women.
Those I didn't hit my demographic overlap.
No, they really probably did not, sir.
I
Probably did not. You probably weren't like, I gotta get me my Designing Women today. I think the show that really hit me the most, that I really felt when it went off the air, you think it was Friends, and I did love Friends,
Huh.
but it was The Office for me. It was Michael Scott
Oh man, The Office.
and Jim and Pam. That was it for me. That I went into mourning after that show went off the air. And I mean, I guess I love the X-Files, but let's be honest, all the sci-fi shows had like this formula. They would start out with some sort of vague and really good idea, but none of the writers had come to the end of it. And then all the creatives would get fired at some point in the middle of the series. And then I guess they decided that executives could write. Do you remember when Willow became addicted to magic?
Oh my gosh.
Right? And so you'd be like, wait, what happened to my show? But you're a completionist. And so you'd finish the show. But they have like this arc of like, amazing, 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 suck. And the last one that did it to us was Lost. And then we said, no more.
They just
We said to
Gave
them,
up.
don't you do it again.
just gave up on the last 2 episodes. They were just like, "Oh no, we're done."
Dude, we had a Lost party.
We did. It was awesome.
And we went to it. I mean, it was like
Jeff,
the food was
yeah.
themed.
At Jeff's
all
house.
that. That
Yeah.
was not okay, man.
That was awesome.
It was awesome, but it wasn't okay because we
No.
were invested and they took advantage
No, the party that we had was awesome.
of it.
I got to come as a smoke monster.
Yes, you did. Good times, good times. Just trying to pull that down. And look, we're going to just rain those little trees down. Look at that. Wonderful. One last ridge,
Oh,
and we're there, and we will have nailed it. Don't you feel like you nailed it?
yeah. This is wow. I mean, this has been quite a bit of painting in there.
Well, these kinds of paintings are a big deal. Vistas are a big deal because they vistas.
That's why they got that Vista pull-off notice on the signs on the road.
Yeah, this is definitely the full three hoot, the full Monty, the full deal. Another good movie that I just referenced. Here we go. So we're just going to paint this in with burnt sienna.
Mm.
And this will probably be our brightest mountain because it's the closest to us. And it also has a lot of color and everything in it. So I'm going to get a little bit creative there, as you do, and have some fun. But I feel like we really, really have quite a wonderful, there's something I want to do with the water. I'm not quite feeling the water yet. I think it's close, but well, I guess it's pretty good.
I liked water.
Okay, I think it's okay. I'm going to get into you. Play with these things. You can see why having a nice little ground is very helpful. What's helpful? A ground is helpful. A little yellow over to my CAD. Quite a bright color.
So while you were covering this mountain, they were covering a mountain of 80s, 90s, and early 2000s pop culture series in here. Everything from Golden Girls to Highlander has been chatted about.
Highlander, dude. Now that did speak to me. Dude, I don't know why a scenario where I could be beheaded at any point
was an appealing thing where we all had to become sword fighters to defend ourselves on the last.
Right.
See, what
That's
I would
right.
be like.
Oh, wait. The big one was Red Dawn.
Go Wolverines.
Do you remember how big Red Dawn hit everybody?
Wolverines.
Wolverines.
I mean, you can still shout that on a paintball field and hear echoes.
You really can.
I mean, just you want to bring the Ruskies over here. We're gonna get them.
Get them all.
Get them all. But that's what you did in the movie, because they were the Russian bad guys that were coming over to get us, and it was okay to have a bad guy that you could get. Now I'm afraid that we could offend our bad guys. But I still think that I like Russia, but not the Communist Party in charge.
You probably just got to put it on a death list just to say.
I find.
Thank you for the death list.
Well, to be honest, I find the Soviet space program inspiring.
Yes.
In 1988, they put up a space shuttle that rivaled ours.
Oh yeah, no man, the rocketry, just on point. But I think it's for me, because my dad grew up with such strong feelings on this issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not like for nothing, but it was just huge feelings on this issue. And I always kind of feel like the people are always separate from a government.
Mm-hmm.
And from policy and foreign policy and all those things. I think it's important to just meet each person individually on their own terms. For me.
Mm-hmm. But you're that mountain covered. And the Xena
and
has
also,
been
I'd
released.
like to be invited to Russia, so.
Xena has been released within chat.
Xena?
The Xena chat.
Xena, warrior princess. Okay, I don't know if John should turn me down or you guys should turn.
Oh my God.
I can do the Xena call. Does anybody want me to do the Xena call? And I mean, I can't do it a little bit. Like, I can actually do it.
I'm just turning you down.
You gonna turn me down?
I'm just way turned you down.
Okay.
I'm just.
So if you're ear sensitive at home or you need to take your earphones off or whatever, do they want me to do it or are they saying no, don't?
I'm just turning the compressor up, so it's okay.
I just want to get permission before I do this in anybody's ears.
You have everyone's clearance, and I've turned you down enough. I've got you on my.
Okay. Should I face forward and blow bubbles?
Is that what you think?
I think I should face forward and blow bubbles.
Hold on. Let me get this, and then you can go. Okay, then you'll turn this
you
out.
Ready? And take that down. You ready?
Hold on. I gotta make sure I got my.
Told ya.
So. It's just.
I upset the dog. I think I just felt 100 unsubs happen. And my dog is like, it's not funny.
Oh, good thing we have a compressor.
Well, I warned everybody.
You did. We're
I didn't
okay.
just,
We did not just, hit him with it.
But you guys got to admit, that's pretty cool.
And every Renaissance festival that we've ever been to.
I have a skill, and that's my skill.
to make all the dogs respond in the neighborhood.
You're upstairs and barking too.
All of the dogs go off.
The dogs are like, this is not cute.
I can make Twix keep going. So I can invoke Twix anytime I want. And make her bark.
You stop now or I will invoke the Twix.
Oh. Yes, everyone said that was quite awesome.
Okay, cool. Face it into everybody's face. I'm gonna add a little blue here. Just feel like some. And also because it's gonna play so beautifully against the orange.
So, not to downplay that my dork wife had a crush on Xena for a very long time, so much so that she practiced and rehearsed said Xena call so her and her friends could do that back and forth.
I was the only one that could do it, though.
So that made you Xena and your friend the other person. So I get how this worked out.
Nobody wants to be Ariel. No,
So
why your princess, man?
I can make sure your mic's turned up here. You there?
I don't know
yeah,
if I'm here anymore. I don't know if I am. That's hard to say, isn't it?
And Christine, who was mildly painting along and not paying attention, was just like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
She was like, "I'm sorry.
I was all ASMRing and you were like falling asleep.
I'm so sorry. I did warn. I swear."
I turned it down a little bit.
You did? A little bit.
I mean, like, yeah, no, it was like we had the compressor on, so it didn't like blow it out. But, everyone's like, "What's a compressor?" Compressor is this device that helps maintain the evenness of the high and low notes so we don't make it too loud. It's a thing that radio people like to use, and I
think Linda came down to see what happened to her dogs.
Set the dogs free.
She's like, "That's too much." Twix is like, "I'm ready. I'm ready, Mom. I heard the call." They're still going. She's growling. I'm gonna again. I felt the energy of 1,000 subs.
They were either all simultaneously subbing or unsubbing.
Yeah,
we'll have to see what happened.
And so I'll be exactly the same when it's all done. So just trying to create that really sort of colorful space of texture up front.
Oh.
Now our up front area also has quite a lot of these dark marks and these dark spots, so we definitely want to get into that. Right? Let's come through here and Is it the kids trying to see if we're still going?
Oh, maybe.
So they heard Mom scream and came down to see everybody's. I need to not do that again. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
I'm just proud of that skill. I asked first. I have but one skill.
I'll answer Lady Fair's question here. The difference between a compressor and an equalizer. A compressor controls the volume of the overall sound to the maximum and minimum to try to keep it averaged, whereas an equalizer allows you to change the levels of frequency inside that. So if you want to make the highs higher, the lows lower, you need an equalizer. Whereas if you want to maintain the volume level, you need a compressor. So there's some inside baseball for you for running your YouTube show.
Inside baseball. How to do it. How to do it. That's funny.
Joy was like, I wish the people who make movies and TV shows would use a compressor tool. Well, they want to have a lot of dynamic range and lots of explodey sounds and very quiet, whispery booms. And we don't. We want you to be able to hear us all the time and make it nice and pleasant for your experience. So Our whispers sound just about as loud as our screams. And that's what the compressor does. There's a little variation, but more or
I'm adding
less.
a little green through the river. There. I'm adding a little green to the river. Here and there. I feel like the river needs some green.
The river needs some green.
Maybe the fall too.
And which brush are you using there?
This is a number 6 bright.
You're getting close.
Yeah, I got some trees to do and a forward little mountain. I got some little bits, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there.
They've time-stamped the Xena mark.
To warn people.
So I think you know how you can go into analytics and see what portion of the video people watch over and over and over again?
Or unsubscribe, yes.
I think that's going to be like a hotspot for us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something. I'm just adding a little run of trees right here. Here at the far corner, a nice little group of trees. Some here and there. Some little spots. And come here, little highlights. Little highlights. Move forward, the trees might be a little more. And I kind of turn this to the side so I have a little more control over that. As you would. Again, this is the Ultra Mini Silver Fan. It's just a really wonderful brush.
Where are you at with it? Oh, you moved up there. Shh. You moved your canvas on me. So, Mark P sent a thank you here. Thanks for the Xena and compressor talk. And thank you, Mark, for being one of our patrons and longtime supporters and like one of the most committed daily painters I know.
And member of the Art Sherpa design team.
Yes. Just like thank you for your support.
Grateful for Mark. Grateful. I'm going to take my ultramarine and my cad yellow because they make a very dark green. Very muted right here. Make sure that that's
Oh, man.
sort of in.
You may end up being in a ringtone.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. You gave that to the internet.
I did give it to the internet, didn't I? And I didn't even think about that. Sometimes you give stuff to the internet, you forget that you're giving them.
Can you imagine that ringtone in the middle of the night?
So for everyone now. Sometimes I've got to tip my thing over to the side and, make sure that some really good purple going here. Every once in a while, you've got to just move your canvas to where it's convenient for you. There we go. A little yellow ochre into that. So it was raw umber. I made a little purple with my ultramarine and quinacridone. I'm now into my white here. I'm trying to make a very light value.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna stab at the name here. Adine? I think it's Adine. Adine says, I admire your stamina. I wouldn't be able to paint for so long. Now, and she asks, maybe I need more practice. Looking forward to trying this painting. So what do you suggest for folks who are wanting to get more stamina at painting?
And this is going to sound so cheeky, but it's actually true. Paint more.
Yep.
Listen to your body. Okay, so here's my real thing because we're coming to the end here.
Work harder!
So the real trick to this is I don't push my body till I'm hurt because that's going to take me out of painting entirely.
Mm-hmm.
I paint every day, paint regularly, and that helps build up kind of a mental and physical tolerance. Obviously, I'm not an athlete, but in a sense, it's funny because I get a sports injury though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just about being mentally there because you guys might have noticed that painting can be kind of exhausting, right? Sometimes when you're painting, don't you ever feel like a little bit tired at the end of that, that wonderful little journey when you're like, man, I'm just a little tired. Goodness gracious me. And come here to the end and sign, I think. I think we're ready for a signature.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, this is a nice little painting session that we did today. National parks.
Yeah.
Perfect day for it.
Oh, you get more there.
And Pout's kind of at the end of its rope here.
Oh, this just turned out so nice. I'm pulling back on the zoom there.
And look, you could do another 5
That
or
turned out
6
nice.
or 10 or 20 hours in this. This is just one of those pieces. Let's look from the front. This is just one of those pieces that it looks better when it goes bigger, and it just is gorgeous the more you put into it. So you can just keep playing with it and keep tweaking it. There's so many references. One of the things that I liked about picking this image is there's about 1,000 references online for this spot.
Yep.
Apparently there's a vista that photographers really like. And so there's a lot of information out there, and you can really put as much into it as you want. For longevity, consistency, because really more than your physical stamina, it's mental fatigue. You're asking your brain to do a lot of weird stuff that it doesn't normally do, and it does get tired. I know when I paint certain topics, this not being one of them, this was just, I could have done 10, 12 hours of this. But for some topics, I get mentally tired very quick. And so just recognize it, be aware of it. When you feel yourself hit the wall, respect the wall, and then come back again fresh. And if you do that consistently, you'll notice that your longevity per session just increases and increases and increases. It's one of the reasons I love doing the Acrylic April program, is getting everybody to do it every day. It turns them into completely different painters.
This has been fun.
This has been a lot of fun. This was a great 3 hoot. Next week, we have another fan brush. It's going to be one of my Art Sherpa fans, fan brush painting the night before. And the next day, we're going to do, they're both black and whites with a pop of color. So the first one is black and white and a little bit of red. The second day is black and white and a little bit of aqua. And then the Saturday is a face.
Now, just before we go, because I want to make sure that we didn't miss anybody out there, to all of the patrons out there, to everybody you support us, to everybody who's liked and commented, to all of you guys. If we missed anything, boy, I apologize now, but I love you guys. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your life and being part of our...
Thank you for showing up for these crazy paintings. Yeah. Sorry we were a little bit late today. We're going to get it fixed. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon.